Bank of America has been forced to pay $772 million in fines and restitution for illegal credit card practices. You've probably been hearing about this story for the last couple weeks. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the bank used deceptive marketing practices in an attempt to sell add-on services for roughly 1.4 million consumers, and another 1.9 million consumers were illegally charged for credit monitoring and reporting services they never received. The CFPB director, Richard Cordray, had this to say. We have consistently warned companies about illegal practices related to credit card add-on products. Bank of America both deceived consumers and unfairly billed consumers for services not performed. We will not tolerate such practices and will continue to be vigilant in our pursuit of companies who wrong consumers in this market. I'm going to guess that this doesn't surprise you guys. And is any number, so the 772 million, it sounds like a lot, but is there any number that's ever enough to penalize the banks?
Well, I bet the banks are really embarrassed. I bet they feel really bad about this. I mean, they had to pay this big fine that they were have to admit criminal malfeasance, except nobody goes to jail.
No,
right?
no. There's nothing in jail.
So that's nice. So we basically see. I was happy when Arnold Schwarzenegger signed into law the bill that made pot the least. In California, the least important crime to prosecute, right? And it feels like banking crimes and fraud seems to be the least important crime to prosecute federally, right? So they treat kind of like that, like they treat pot in California. And if you notice, right, so $755 million, but nobody goes to jail. Yeah. Nobody's prosecuted. Nobody has to sit there and answer questions. They just go and they go, okay, you guys did a lot of criminal shit. If you pay us some of the money you made off doing this criminal shit, who else gets away with that? You know, drug dealers, they don't go, how much money did you make selling drugs? $2 billion? Pay us $1 billion in fines and it's all taken care of.
Yeah.
So you're a lawyer. What do you think about that, Steve?
Before I get to that, I just want to talk about Bank of America and their size. They're worth $170 billion. That's their market cap. So $772 million is roughly it's less than 0.5%. So it's less than half of 1% of their market cap. So I don't know how much of a deterrent it is. It did make our stock price drop a little bit, which is surprising because usually when they settle, the stock prices go up because they settle for so little. So in this instance, I guess they settled for more. I have a couple of things to say. First of all, there's a lot of clamoring by Wall Street for self-regulation. Because you know, if they self-regulated, I'm sure Bank of America would deem themselves guilty, and they will say, you know what, we should pay $772 million in fines and restitution because we're regulating ourselves. I'm sure that would have happened, right?
Is there an example of self-regulation ever working? Really? I mean, has it ever worked? Doesn't it automatically go awry by definition?
Well, it has worked for Chris Christie. His appointed commission found him guilty. Innocent of all charges.
Yeah.
So look, I can't stand the bankers and Wall Street and all that kind of stuff. In this instance, for what they did, I don't know that I agree with you guys about them being criminally liable, having to go to jail for that.
So you really? I don't know if you've. Are you familiar with this entire story? Because what they did was intentionally criminal. They intentionally misled people, and someone would call up a customer, and they had a pre-written script, and in the script was incorrect information in there to mislead people. It says that you were going to get your first month free.
I think that's not right. I think the script was good.
No, script was also bad.
I think the script was okay, but they had a terrible practice of screwing up the script, omitting key information, and basically going off script, and that was part of the problem.
Okay, according to the CFPB, Bank of America misled consumers when selling them credit protection services. Telemarketing scripts included misstatements.
Right.
So the telemarketing script
You're right.
included misstatements. So their script that they said, here, say this to someone, one of our customers, to sell them, and this stuff is incorrect.
They were also charged for credit monitoring that they never received. So which of those do you think is worse, actually? Is one of those worse than the other, intentionally bungling the script or omitting things, or just flat out just charging people for stuff that they didn't get?
I think it's both horrible. I think that it just goes again that they're willfully, consciously committing criminal acts and defrauding their own customers. They're defrauding their own customers. They're not doing this to somebody else's bank customers. They're not trying to mislead somebody. It's just like Fox News. You're fucking over the people who turn to you for advice and information, and you're totally screwing them. So now we can't trust the banks. When I grew up, it never dawned on anyone that when you went to a banker, they would try to screw you over. That's their business model now. How can we screw? It's what Dylan Radigan calls about extracting wealth. So that's what this is. This isn't about adding wealth or value to our economy. This is about wealth extraction.
I think the bigger problem is this. A $772 million fine and restitution should be devastating, but it's not.
Yes.
And it's not because
Yes.
the banks are now too big to fail.
Yes.
They're too large. Bank of America, they start from the East Coast and now they're all on the West Coast. They're basically all over the country. I think they're the biggest or the second biggest bank in America. And for a company to be hit with basically penalties of almost $1 billion
Right.
and not flinch, and it's not a big deal, it's less than 0.5% of their market cap, that means they're too big. They're too big and they have too much power. And breaking up the big banks it should be one of our top priorities. The other thing too is I want to give Elizabeth Warren a big shout out because she's the one who pushed for this. She pushed for this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and if you recall, a lot of the Republicans and a lot of the Democrats said we don't need that. We don't need that. All that's going to do is add costs and it's kill a job. Blah blah blah. The typical bullshit.
Yes.
No, we need it because we need that to protect us from these kind of deceptive bank practices.
So fines and the threat of prosecution is supposed to be the thing that deters this stuff from happening in the future. But this is not deterring anything. None of these fines are deterring shit.
I mean, a $750 million fine doesn't deter you. That means you're just too big.
You're
too big.
undeterrable. You're too big to deter.